When I stood before the crowd, the man everyone called a fallen hero whispered my name. My knees nearly gave way, but I kept my chin high and my heart steady. I'd spent decades being silenced. Now every camera caught the truth I'd buried in paper. This was only the beginning. I light the candle they gave me. Its wick hesitates before catching. A small fight for air. The scent of lemon oil from the pews mixes with wax and old hymnals. The fellowship hall hums with polite whispers, coats brushing wood, shoes clicking against the linoleum floor. "Evening, Pastor," I say, my voice steady. "Yes, ma'am, I got it." I place the last program at the end of the row and smooth the corner flat. Folks around here still call me the hero's widow. Though the truth is quieter, I'm the woman who kept her promise when no one else remembered. When the MC begins the roll of names, my breath stills. Each one sounds like a bell rung once and let go. "Taryn Holt," he says, and I rise, slow, deliberate. A few hands reach to touch my arm. "Lord bless you." "Miss Delphine." I nod. Blessings cost nothing here, but they spend easy. The flag behind me droops just enough to remind me how heavy folded fabric can be. My daughter's wedding ring still sits in a felt box at home. I never wear it, but I never let it go either. Honor is a room people visit, but no one wants to clean. Then comes the scholarship announcement. A deacon steps forward holding a check so big it hides his smile. "For the Taryn Holt Memorial Fund," he says. The crowd claps politely, phones raised, flashlights blinking. "We honor sacrifice," the councilwoman declares, reading from a card her aide probably wrote. I nod again. The scholarship began with 3 donors and a ledger in my kitchen drawer. "Put it on the calendar," I'd said. "Make it plain." Now it has logos, slogans, and a senator's quote printed like scripture across the program cover. I let them take the photos. I know when to stand still for optics. A draft snakes through the doorway. The door opens, and a man steps in. Tall, bearded, coat ripped at the cuff. His shoulders twitch like a soldier trying to stand at attention. I feel something I don't name. Not yet. He looks at Taryn's framed picture too long. My neighbor Maeve leans over. "Delphine, you good?" "I'm fine. Baby, keep your seat." He rubs his thumb like counting seconds, then disappears. I look at the foyer clock, 736 Padiframa. I don't know why that matters, but I note it anyway. After the benediction, my grandson Noel catches up. "Gran, you okay? You look pale." I'm steady. "Sugar." Reporters swarm. One shoves a mic close. "Any words for the families?" "Ma'am," I answer with the only thing that fits the camera. "We honor the living by keeping our promises to the young." The councilwoman laughs about hashtags, and I tell her, "We prefer hymn numbers." Everyone chuckles. Only I stay quiet, watching the senator's aide pack up the banner with the hero's face that used to be my son-in-law's. At home, I wash 2 plates out of habit. The house smells like starch and candle smoke. I open the ledger on the kitchen table. Deposits, receipts, thank you cards taped with blue painter's tape. A paper slips out a clipped report with a date that means nothing to me. Yet my heart stirs. The phone rings. "Sorry, ma'am, I was looking for the scholarship trustee," a woman says. "You found her. Name's Kira Sloan," she replies. "Call back tomorrow." Her voice carries something unfinished. I set the phone down, place the candle on the windowsill, and watch its flame tremble. My grandson asks from the hall, "Need me to lock up, Gran?" "I'll handle it. Sleep while you can. Daylight's nosy." I flip Taryn's photo face down, tracing the stamp on the back, misaligned, faded. My hands fold the ledger closed, edges neat, corners true. "If he's alive," I whisper, "truth better be too." At 542 Aiken, the church security footage will either set me free or take me apart. I arrive at the church office before sunrise, coffee steaming through the thin lid. "Morning, baby," I tell the usher. "Let's roll the tape." He nods and wakes up the monitor, the glow washing his young face pale. The timestamp flickers, 708 p.m., last night. We scrub through the foyer, feed doors swing, hymn numbers change, shadows stretch and shrink. Then he appears, the tall man in the torn coat. My stomach folds in on itself. Hold it there. The usher clicks pause. Zoom if you can. Sugar. The picture blurs, but it's enough the left thumb rub. The scar above his brow. The shoulders that try to square before falling again. I don't breathe. He's familiar to me, I say, instead of the name rising in my throat. The usher hands me a USB. Keep it. Church got plenty. I tuck it in my purse and whisper, bless you. Outside, drizzle mists the parking lot. I trace his route on the monitor. South down Bull Street, I can almost smell Forsyth Park's damp leaves. You didn't see nothing, I ask. Just folks coming and going, Miss Delphine. I nod. Truth hides in the ordinary. I text Noel. Pick me up. Bring walking shoes. By the time he pulls up, the sun's climbing. Gran, what's the plan? Follow footprints folks don't know they leave. We drive slow past storefronts, waking for the day. Shopkeepers hose down sidewalks. Water curling along the curb like gray ribbon. I ask questions. Soft ones. Seen a tall man, coat torn at the cuff. A barista remembers him, trading coins for hot water, holding the cup like it was holy. I leave my card. If he comes back, call me. Coffee and a hot meal's on me. Noel frowns. You shouldn't be out here chasing ghosts. I don't scare easy, not with daylight and a grandson built like a tree. We spot him sitting at a bench under the dripping oaks. My chest tightens. I approach from the side. Not head on. Morning, sir. You all right today? He stiffens, eyes sliding toward me, then down. I set a wrapped sandwich beside him. Turkey. No mayo. Always hated mayo. His thumb moves. Rub, rub, rub. That same old rhythm. He flinches. Weather's turning, I add softly. Churches serve breakfast at 9. His voice cracks like gravel. Too many walls. I place the printed still next to my cup. He looks once, jaw hardening, then pushes it back toward me with 2 fingers. Noel steps forward, tense. Gran, I got this. Sugar. The man stands, blanket slipping from his shoulders, revealing a faded tattoo, military ink blurred by time. Then he's gone, walking toward Whitaker Street. I don't chase. You can't net a ghost who still remembers combat. We trail behind, quiet. A parking attendant says, he's polite, calls everyone ma'am and sir. At a thrift store, a clerk says he trades bottles for socks, always asks for black, not white. I write it all down, proof of life that doesn't rely on my heart. Noel asks, is it him? Don't say his name out here. I repeat what's kept me steady for years. Put it in the book. We'll sort truth from weather later. Rain thickens near the park's edge. We shelter under the church overhang, and soon he drifts back, drawn to the dry. I slip off my coat, hang it on the rail. Clothes dry faster when they've got a story. I tell him. He stares at the label like it's scripture. You used to count seconds on your thumb when you stood watch, didn't you? He closes his fist, instinctive, guilty. My pulse stumbles. You got somewhere safe, he answers. Bridges don't ask questions. Pointing south, then he's gone again. Back home. I line my shoes heel to heel. The still photo lies on the table beside my half-washed mug. Make it plain. Delphine. I whisper. Don't borrow trouble. I test the name once. Barely breath Taryn. The refrigerator hum answers. I write in my notebook alive equal sign danger plus hope. If he lived, the story they sold me was counterfeit, and that means someone profited off a lie. I dial the number from last night. Kira Sloan. You asked for the trustee. I'm ready to talk. Off the record first. I list what I need. VA logs, guestbook entries, soup van routes, Noel prints the still, 3 copies. We'll keep the circle small till the truth grows legs. I blow out the candle on the sill, the smoke curling like a signature. If he's breathing, I say to the empty room, somebody lied. If the man on my table is truly Taryn Holt, then the flag they folded for us was a lie, and liars don't retire. By the time the church bells ring 11, I've already told Noel the plan twice. Truth first, optics later, shoes on. He laughs, but he knows better than to argue. I set the day's checklist on the dashboard, church USB, printer receipt, city filings, bank box, then home. Write it down or it didn't happen, I remind him. the same way my mother used to remind me to pray before meals. He grabs his keys. You sure we're not crossing any lines? Gran, we're not crossing, sugar. We're drawing them. At St. Mark's office, the usher meets me by the copier, his shirt still pressed from Sunday. I hand him a blank USB from my purse. 2 folders, I say. Foyer and exterior. Label them clean. He smiles nervously, typing slow. When he hands it back, I log the time, initials, and device number on my notepad. You want labels, Miss Delphine. Dates, big and plain, baby. I snap photos of the screen with the wall clock behind it, proof that truth can keep its own schedule. No talk of Taryn, just the visitor. Calm as velocity in the right direction. At the print shop downtown, the young clerk barely looks up from his earbuds. Yeah, we printed those programs yesterday. Memorial thing, right. I nod, watching the job log on his screen. The sender's email blinks like a siren. Kettering staff Vey, Gov, I asked for a copy of the PDF history. We don't politics, ma'am, we just print. And I just read, I answer. He chuckles, then hands me the record. I staple it to my notes and text Kira. Staff inserted quote, documented. Truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs ink that doesn't smear. At City Hall, the air smells like floor polish and resignation. The clerk flips through folders until she finds the Taryn Holt Memorial Scholarship file. Update it in '04, she says. Added an advisory partner, Silas's nonprofit. The clause reads, fallen service member, not missing in action. That single word hums wrong, like a note struck off key. Cash or card, she asks. Card, I say. And a receipt with your name, baby. She smiles, stamps the copies, and slides them across. I feel a shift inside. Small. Quiet. Permanent. Mismatched language is never a typo. It's a choice. At the bank, the booth hums with fluorescent light. I unlock the tin box from years ago, Taryn's medals, letters, and a sealed manila envelope marked casualty inside. I find 2 copies of Form 1300. One says MIA. One says deceased. The same colonel's name signs both, but the slant tells on him. My sticky note from years ago, second copy, why? Feels like a message from my past self, I whisper. Because somebody needed you dead on paper. My fingers tremble, not from fear, but from recognition. I photograph every page, seal them in a freezer bag, and lock the box tight. When I step outside, a sedan idles beside my car. The man leaning on it wears a senator's smile. Mrs. Rourke, the luncheon for veterans. Senator Kettering would love you there. No microphones till my records say amen. He laughs politely. In case you need help. He offers a card with embossed letters. I've been helping myself since 77, I reply, slipping the card into a separate bag. Every charm has a fingerprint. And back home, the house feels too still. I lay the 2 Form 1300s side by side beneath my lamp. The handwriting differs, pressure, spacing, even the loops in the R. I trace both with transparent paper. And the misalignment leaps out. The unit number's wrong. The month doesn't match my scrapbook notes. This ain't grief talking, I tell Noel. This is math. We flag 6 inconsistencies, each one a nail in someone's story. Kira calls as the clock hits 5. File FOIA requests, ma'am. Preserve everything. If you're right, they'll try to make you remember differently. My memory pays rent, I tell her. It stays. I print her templates. Noel timestamps them, and we bag each document twice. I breathe deep, steady as ritual. When the porch light clicked off by itself, the black SUV across the street did not. The road into Hunter Army Airfield smells like wet pine and jet fuel, the kind of scent that clings to your clothes and memories. The chain-link fence hums under the wind, and an MP waves us through after checking my ID twice. Stay on the visitor path, ma'am. Watch me, I say, not breaking stride. The wall of names rises ahead, bronze plates under a gray sky. My fingers stop at Taryn Holt. The letters cut too deep, too final. I trace the groove, memorizing its placement. Bottom right, plate serial 312B. I jot down vendor marks. Time, and GPS coordinates. Noel trails behind me, quiet, holding water and a folder. No speeches, I tell him. Paper first. Anger doesn't roar, it sharpens. Inside the memorial office, fluorescent lights hum like bees. I need installation records, I say. Sliding my ID forward, the young clerk glances up. Plaque orders, vendor invoices, internal emails, everything. He flips through binders, pages smelling faintly of toner. Here, memo from '04, says language approved by Senator Kettering's office for consistency. I read the line twice. Consistency is how lies learn to breathe. The memo says MIA pending. The plaque says fallen. I tag it with red sticky note #7. I'll take certified copies. There's a fee. Print it, I'll pay. My tone is even. Fear wastes time. I text Kira. Language mismatch confirmed. Photo en route. As I step outside, a staffer tapes a flyer to the wall. Special remembrance, 6 p.m. Keynote Senator Silas Kettering. I fold the flyer twice and slide it behind my phone case. Evidence and invitation, all in one. Gran, you sure? Noel asks. I'm sure we're done whispering. I say, my bag's ready. 2 Form 1300s, the printer receipt, church USB, plaque photos, and my summary. One line repeats in my head like a drum beat for 28 years. You honored a ghost. The auditorium smells of brass polish and nerves. I pick an aisle seat mid-row, clean sightline, quick exit. I count Silas's staffers' lapel pins, earpieces, one scanning faces like a radar. Sit 2 rows back. I tell Noel, if I nod, walk it to me. The chaplain begins with a prayer, the kind that soothes crowds but not truth. Amen to facts, not scripts. I whisper. My pulse slows to an even hum. Calm is my blade. Then Silas takes the stage, smooth voice. Hands clasped in faux humility. We gather to remember those who gave their all. The crowd nods like metronomes. Slides roll folded flags, soldiers, widows, a table set for one. He quotes the same line from last night's program. The lie lands soft but heavy. The Holt Scholarship keeps sacrifice alive, he says. Cameras pan. One finds me. I meet the lens. Still as granite. My hand rises. Not waving, not begging, just claiming air. The moderator offers the mic. I stand. 3 facts, I begin. Plaque order dated March 8, 2004. Invoice code 77A. Memo citing Kettering's office. I hold up 2 forms. MIA and deceased. Same name. Same officer. Different handwriting. Make it plain, I say. Let the record show this is Exhibit A and B. Ear murmurs ripple through the seats. I set the church USB on the podium. This shows a man alive walking through St. Mark's last night. My eyes lock on Silas. For 28 years, you honored a ghost. You buried a living man with paperwork. The silence after is a sound all its own. A staffer moves forward. I pivot the mic toward him. Touch me, and you confirm the story. The audience gasps. I add, we tell the young the truth, not the convenient. Voices rise, clapping, arguing, camera shutters flashing. The chaplain calls for calm. I nod to Noel. He walks forward, the envelope in plain view. I lay it on the front table. Hands open. No dramatics. Keep those under receipt, I tell the moderator, or I'll file before breakfast. Silas begins a soft rebuttal, but I turn my back, refusing to play the foil in his script. When the house lights came up, 2 security men headed for the aisle, and the third one didn't. The parking lot was chaos. Reporters crowding the car, flashbulbs cracking like tiny explosions. I held my palms open. Steady. 1 statement, then I leave, I said. Microphones leaned in, cords tangling under my shoes. Y'all record this clean. Spell my name right. Let the record show I brought receipts. I listed 3 facts the plaque's wording. The memo date, the duplicate casualty forms. Nothing more, nothing less. A base sergeant urged me to coordinate later. I smiled. I just did. In daylight. Cameras turned to catch Silas ducking into a side exit, his aide shielding him with a garment bag. I opened the car door. Noel, drive. The chain of custody envelope stayed on my lap, visible. Let them film proof of calm. My phone buzzed before we reached the gate. A push alert Senator Kettering addresses misinformation, calls for compassion. The video clipped my speech to half a sentence. "A ghost you buried," followed by a pundit suggesting I was confused. That's their favorite word for women my age who know too much. When they can't crack the paper, they'll try to crack the person, I murmured. I texted Kira clips twisted, archiving originals. We uploaded my full podium audio to the drive, labeled it Pod 01, time-stamped, sealed. Facts only, I whispered to myself. No bait, no brawls. Then came the real hit. Noel's phone buzzed, her law partner. "Optics," he said, loud enough for me to hear. "Distance yourself." She gave me a look that could slice glass. "Mama, give me 1 hour." 10 minutes later, a statement appeared from her professional account requesting privacy during this difficult time. The internet read it as a rebuke. "You okay?" Cousins texted. "Praying hands." I answered none. "Baby," I told her quietly, "you did what the bar expects." "I protected my docket," she shot back. I didn't flinch. "When you speak to me, speak plain, not for TV." She turned to the window. Silent, the sting landed, but I shelved it, paper first. Kira's text arrived at dusk. VA picked up a tall, bearded vet near the viaduct. My heart stopped mid-beat. I called the VA operator. "He's being evaluated." "Ma'am, is he safe? We can't disclose patient." "You just did." Noel turned the car toward the VA campus. Rain painted the pavement silver. A guard met us under the awning, voice flat. "Visiting hours closed." I slid a sealed envelope across the counter letter asserting in-law status. Photocopies of the ledger. "Request for property preservation." "If you lose his file," I said, "you lose more than a patient." The guard blinked. Understood. By the time we got home, the smear had grown legs. A local anchor replayed my face beside a grief expert diagnosing misdirected trauma. I laughed once. Sharp. "If truth makes me crazy, fine, call me sane tomorrow." A private number rang, polite male voice. "Senator Kettering would welcome a clarifying sit-down." "If it can't stand on the record," I said, "it can't stand in my kitchen." Click outside. The same black SUV idled 2 houses down. I took a photo, plate, timestamp, rain pattern. Then I turned my armchair toward the window and wrote a full incident log names. Times, outcomes. Anger turned to ink. When Noel returned, the storm had reached our doorstep. "You humiliated my husband's family," she said. "They gave you a platform. They gave me silence in a suit," I replied, laying both Form 1300s on the table. "Different signatures. Same lie." She rubbed her temples. "You're breaking this case on vibes." "I'm breaking it on handwriting. Sugar." I pointed to the slant, the pressure, the hyphen. "If truth makes you homeless among your own, you still sleep with truth." Her voice cracked. "I'm staying at a colleague's until this blows over." "Then take an umbrella," I said softly. I didn't chase her. I stayed up drafting letters. FOIA follow-up, legal hold, patient advocate request. Kira coached over speakerphone. "Bold your preservation line." I built a small press packet. Facts, not fury. "We don't drown people in paper," I said, sealing each envelope. "We drown lies." Tomorrow's route took shape in neat ink VA advocate, city clerk, Kira. I slipped the scholarship ledger into a fireproof pouch and kept my shoes on. At 12:03 a.m., the VA on call finally rang. "Ma'am," the voice said, low and hurried. "He's being transferred in 20 minutes. If you want eyes on him, come now." I reached the VA before 12:25 a.m., headlights cutting through the drizzle. The lobby was near empty, the air thick with antiseptic and humming lights. I slid my ID across the counter and placed a sealed folder beside it. "Put a copy stamp on this, baby. Chain of custody starts the minute you touch it." The clerk hesitated. "We can't." "You can," I said softly. I wrote her name, badge number, and time in my ledger. Rules may block the mouth, but not the pen. The patient advocate line sent me through an endless loop. I left my own recorded message with a timestamp. When two orderlies wheeled out a gurney toward the loading bay, I memorized the unit numbers on their carts. "Noel," I texted, "transfer imminent, stage plan B." By 100, a weary woman with glasses hanging from a chain appeared. "I'm the advocate," she said. Voice sandpapered by caffeine. I handed her copies. Form 1300 mismatches, USB index, memo extracts. I'm the in-law with a paper trail. You don't have to believe me, just not lose him. She skimmed the pages, brows knitting. "Possible MIA misclassification," she murmured. A nurse nearby mentioned outside coordination for a federal transfer. No destination listed. My hand tightened on the ledger. Unknown destination equals disappearance by paperwork. I looked at the advocate. "Hold his effects and note every hand that touches them." She nodded, scribbling my request. Noel arrived in flats, hair tied back, no makeup, court mode. Her paralegal's voice came through the speaker, template ready for emergency filing. We sat in the parking lot, typing under dome light glow. "We don't argue grief," Noel said, fingers flying. "We argue facts. File first, feelings later." I echoed. We attached exhibits, the plaque photo, invoice code, memo with Kettering's letterhead. The advocate signed our evidence list. I snapped a picture with the wall clock in frame. "Chain of custody confirmed," I said. "Now we make it legal." At sunrise, we stood in front of the courthouse clerk's window. I paid fees, got stamped copies, and met the judge's assistant who promised a same-day hearing. "We're not asking for a parade," Noel told her. "Just a pause." I forwarded the docket number to Kira. She replied instantly. Solid footing. Press nothing until ruling. Hope flickered like a pilot light. Small, steady, enough. The hearing room smelled of dust and printer ink. VA counsel argued jurisdiction, quoting statutes. I sat still, palm flat on my ledger. Noel spoke like thunder wrapped in velvet. 2 conflicting casualty reports, broken custody chain, risk of illegal transfer. I added only what mattered: the scar. The left thumb rub, the voice that once sang bass in my church. "Corroboration, miss," I said. "Not claim." The judge adjusted her glasses. "You've bought 72 hours, she ruled. "Records preserved, patient held in district." I stood. "You don't win wars in one morning," I told Noel. "You win time." We barely cleared the parking garage when Silas's aide stepped out from the shadows. "This TRO makes everyone look bad," he said. "Everyone but the truth," I answered. His finger touched his earpiece. My phone, already recording, sat open on my tote. We had Fisk sign the deceased copy to keep donors steady. He muttered, "Don't make us reopen 2004. The words hung like smoke. He caught himself. Reached toward my bag. I raised my palm. "Touch me, and you confirm the story." His face drained. We walked away. My recorder still live. By noon, we were in the newsroom. I handed the audio to the editor, a man who still used pencils. "Timestamps clean. Here's the docket. Verify before you run anything." He nodded. "No B-roll of your house. Promise." I called Kira. "Anchor 2 is live." "Then we've got 3 anchors," she said. "VA log, court order, hot mic." My anger cooled into purpose. "Back at the VA that afternoon. The advocate met me in the lobby. Transfer canceled," she said. "Pending review." Relief didn't smile. It exhaled. I asked to leave a sealed note with his belongings. "You are not lost." "D?" The nurse promised to include it. I sat near the vending machines, counting breaths. 8 in, 8 out. "I don't beg," I whispered. "I outlast." At 412 p, a maintenance door clicked open, and a man with a familiar left thumb rub paused beneath the exit sign, then vanished down the service corridor. The morning air over Savannah felt heavy, like even the humidity was holding its breath. I walked into the VA with the TRO tucked under my arm, the advocate beside me, my ledger open to a clean page. "We keep him human, not a case file," I told her. The nurse supervisor looked up from the chart and said quietly, "He had a responsive moment last night, mumbled something like, Fin." My throat tightened. Let's confirm without suggestion. I said, I handed over my husband's brass dog tag, logged it with the sealed note from yesterday. Each handoff timed, signed, witnessed. No photos, no press. The advocate smiled faintly. Chain solid. Outside, reporters shouted questions. I walked past. If it isn't in the chart, I said. It isn't real yet. By mid-morning, City Hall called. The mayor's office wanted to reduce confusion. Silas Kettering confirmed attendance. I told them I'd come only if podium time was equal and every slide projected had certification marks visible. We'll do this like a church potluck, I told the aide. Everybody brings something real. I carried 3 exhibits, the plaque order memo, printer ticket with his staff email, T-USO docket. 2 minutes. Kira reminded me over the phone. Land it clean and stop. My pulse slowed to a measured beat. Truth was never quick, but it could be steady. Before heading downtown, I returned to the VA's quiet room behind one-way glass. A man sat with a therapist, eyes flicking toward a table light. The brass tag lay before him. No one said his name. He tapped it twice, pressed it to his forehead, and croaked. Duh, the therapist noted. Spontaneous attachment. I didn't move. Tears threatened, but I swallowed them back. We logged every detail. Time, phrase, light level, observer signatures. Probable identity correlation, the doctor wrote. Not proof, but a pulse of truth strong enough to slow the erasers. At City Hall, the press room was packed, veterans in caps, choir ladies with fans, news crews elbow to elbow. Silas spoke first, all honeyed regret and miscommunication. When it was my turn, I stepped up with 1 page. 6 inconsistencies, I said. Listing form codes, signature slants, hyphen omissions, memo wording, transfer opacity. I'm not here to argue grief, I said into the mic. I'm here to staple truth to dates. A hush. Then I added, at 10:12 this morning, a VA clinician documented recognition consistent with identity. Please, stop calling him a symbol. Flashbulbs popped, but I stepped back before applause could turn the truth into theater. After the briefing, the scholarship board met. Donors came stiff with caution. I placed the endowment ledger on the table, opened the pages aligning payouts with Silas's campaign surges. No accusations, I said. Just arithmetic. Noel, composed again, motioned to suspend our external partner. Appoint an interim ethics chair and launch an audit. One donor whispered, You should have told us sooner. I met his eyes. I tried. You sent flowers. The vote passed. Silas's nonprofit stripped. Statement drafted. My breath finally deepened. Outside. Silas tried his last play. His aide told cameras the garage audio was a deepfake. Minutes later, the newsroom aired it. Waveform verified. Metadata intact. My voice steady in the background. If you must choose between a smooth story and a true one, I told reporters leaving the boardroom, choose the true one and live with the splinters. By noon, veterans groups demanded federal review. The current turned. That afternoon, I returned to the VA. The advocate handed me the updated chart. TRO cited. Transfer canceled. Belongings inventoried. Your notes marked placed, she said. I signed a consent allowing my name to be used as a calming cue. You're doing good work, I told the staff. Keep on. By dusk, the neighborhood gathered outside my house. Candles flickering on the sidewalk. Church folks hummed low hymns. Vets swapped quiet stories. On the table were index cards of memories. Taryn fixing radios, cracking jokes, promising to make us proud. I read them aloud. Voice even. Bring your casseroles to the living, I said, and your testimony to the record. The night hummed warm and still. Later, at my desk, I compiled a 1-pager for elders, plain English instructions, phone numbers, steps to request records. Noel drafted a visitation addendum. I initialed each line. Kira arranged a quiet meeting with the editor. No cameras this time. I placed the brass tag back in its pouch, kissed it once, set it beside my Bible. At 9:41 p.m., my porch light flicked on, not from the timer, but from a shadow that paused, then knocked twice. At dawn, I brewed a pot of coffee strong enough to cut through the fog outside. Every document I'd fought for now lay in neat stacks across the kitchen table. TRO addendum, donor letters, audit resolutions, chain of custody receipts. Each page was labeled, initialed, dated. I looked over them once more and whispered, "No grand speeches, just clean paper." Noel called from her car, voice crisp. "Injunction package ready. Clerk opens in 20. Kira's text followed. "Press briefed. Boring and true per your rule." I slipped the brass dog tag into my pocket, tied my sneakers, and stepped into the new morning. At the federal courthouse, the air smelled of toner and disinfectant. We filed our motion for preliminary injunction and escrow freeze. Every exhibit certified. The judge, a calm woman with salt gray hair, looked over her glasses. "Why today?" Noel answered. "Because transfer attempts resumed through a non-district vendor. We need federal teeth." The judge nodded slowly, then signed. The order landed with the sound of justice measured in ink. Escrow frozen. Subpoenas approved. Preservation enforced. Out in the hall, I told Noel, "We don't chase glory. We chase signatures." She smiled faintly. "You taught me that." Silas's people tried to spin it before lunch. His counsel talked about administrative confusion. But when the clerk read the hot mic line about deceased copies for donors, the room went still. By afternoon, the donors released a joint statement. "We support the audit and the freeze. One aide tried to smear me. She's just a grieving widow." I met his eyes. "Sir, your adjectives aren't evidence." That line got quoted, but not because it was clever, because it was final. The story shifted, the system held. By mid-afternoon, I was back at the VA for a controlled recognition session. The psychiatrist explained the rules. No touch. Minimal speech. I nodded. The man sat upright, eyes clearer than before. I placed the brass tag on the tray between us. He reached, rubbed his left thumb, and whispered, "D, then Delph." His voice cracked on the rest. The clinician's pen moved quickly, spontaneous recognition. Subject-initiated name. My heart clenched, but I stayed still. I said only, "I'm here." His gaze steadied. Paper confirmed what my spirit already knew. The riverfront memorial plaza gleamed under late sunlight. The flawed plaque was covered with navy cloth. When lifted, the new bronze shone Taryn Holt, missing, found, home. Veterans saluted, unwell. I stepped to the mic, voice clear. "Bring flowers to the living. Bring truth to the record." The choir hummed softly behind me. The mayor promised an online audit archive. No fireworks, no spectacle. Just a town doing right by its own. Before dusk, our attorney served civil notice to Silas's foundation. Fraudulent inscription. Donor misrepresentation, restitution demanded. The scholarship endowment would be made whole. "No cuffs today," I told the cameras. "Just clauses." The clip spread, quiet but powerful. Folks said it was refreshing to see an old woman finish something without shouting. Maybe that's what victory should look like. Back at the VA, I handed the clinician a sealed covenant. Visitation guidelines. Therapy funding from escrow interest. "We do this slow," I said, "or we don't do it." He nodded. I placed the brass tag in the man's palm and left it there. My hand felt lighter walking out. Evening fell over the fellowship hall. The potluck line wound past trays of mac and cheese and pound cake. Neighbors wrote down memories of Taryn for the archive box. Funny stories, simple kindnesses. I filled the last line of my ledger date. Time, outcome, next review in 30 days. Noel handed me a plate. "Machon one night." "Pepper wins," she said, half smiling. "Paper and patience," I replied. I turned to the room and said, "If someone you love gets lost in the system, don't get louder, get documented." The laughter was soft, approving, real. When the hall emptied, I locked the ledger, gathered the leftover candles, and turned toward the side door. A shadow paused, then 3 slow knocks. 28 years since I'd heard that rhythm. This time, I opened it. The door creaked open and the hallway light spilled over a familiar face, older, worn but unmistakable. He whispered my name, voice trembling between disbelief and need. I froze. ledger still in hand. Was it really him? Or another ghost the system made subscribe? Because what happened next changed everything.